We'll get started. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Tiffany Butson. I am the resort manager at Westward Ho RV Resort and Campground. We're located in Glen Beulah, Wisconsin. I have been in property management for about 14 or 15 years now, not always campgrounds. I started with the campgrounds in May of 2015. One thing that I noticed right off the bat with this industry is it seems like we all have a common struggle, and that is finding enough staff. Seems like it doesn't matter what state you're from, if it's a big campground, small campground, middle of nowhere, on the edge of town, we all struggle with staffing our campgrounds appropriately and properly to ensure a smooth running operation for us and the guest experience. The company that I work for is Sun Communities and Sun RV Resorts. They own properties from the East Coast to the West, North to South, where as far south as the Florida Keys, as far north as Ontario, Canada.
Westward Ho is a corporate-owned park now?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep. When I noticed that I was really struggling trying to staff everything properly, I reached out to other managers within the company that I work for, and I learned about this wonderful program, the J1 Student Program. Immediately I started asking questions. What's it all about? How do I get started? Who do I contact? Is there an ideal job for these kids? How long do they come and work? I had all kinds of questions. I was fortunate enough that other managers with our company took me under their wing and taught me what they knew and helped me get started. My first year utilizing the program was in 2017. That year I brought over 4 students. I had a girl from Russia and 3 guys from Turkey. Last year was my second year, 2018. I brought 5 students. I had a brother and sister out of Albania, a guy from Turkey, a girl from the Dominican Republic, and a girl from Jamaica. So what was really nice is it brings a lot of diversity to the campground. All right. Have you guys heard of the J1 Student Program? You have? Okay. Oh, you utilize it now? Oh, good. How many students do you bring over, do you think?
3.
3? And what sort of jobs do you have them do?
Cleaning, store, outdoor maintenance.
Okay, nice.
Some activities.
Some activities?
Some activities for us.
Okay. There are some jobs that they're not allowed to do. They're prohibited jobs, and that is determined by the state of, or the Department of State, the DOS. There are also some jobs that a certain sponsor may not appreciate them doing as well. For the most part, you can find something for them to do to fit them in to help alleviate the workload for you and the rest of the staff. So we'll start off with, why do I call them J1 students? I call them J1 students because the J1, it refers to the type of visa that they obtain to come here and work. There are umpteen different kinds of visas. There's H visas, J visas, all kinds, but the J1 student visa is the one that these students get. There's actually 14 different program categories associated with that. It's not just for college students, it's for physicians, it's for teachers, it's for college students, interns, trainees, camp counselors. There's a good list there. The one that I have found works best for my situation is the Summer Work Travel Program, or the SWT. The reason I like that particular category is it enables them to come here for a short amount of time instead of a lengthy amount of time, and we're a seasonal campground. I don't need them here for a year. I need them for a few months. It actually allows them to come for up to 4 months during their break. So the SWT, it is specifically for the college and university students at foreign universities to gain firsthand work experience in a seasonal or temporary job and travel the U.S. during their summer while providing opportunity to experience U.S. culture. That's a really important statement. So we're going to touch base and kind of break it apart a little bit. In order to qualify for the SWT, it has to be seasonal or temporary. It cannot displace a U.S. worker. You cannot have somebody laid off in the last 120 days. Okay, so if you say, well, you know, Joe, thanks for your services at the gate attendant, but you're just not quite cutting it, or you're not what I'm looking for. I'm going to lay you off and bring in a J1 student. Doesn't work. You can't do it. It's nice, since we're seasonal, what are the odds of you having a layoff in the last 120 days? Okay, so that it actually fits in really nice. Even though they are here up to 4 months, they don't necessarily work 4 months. It is a summer work and travel. That is very important. Them working is a very small section of the program. They are here to experience U.S. culture, see the way we live. They've come here for experiences. They've come here to travel, to see our country, to learn about us. A lot of the times, when these students go back to their home countries, they kind of become a U.S. ambassador for us. They tell their families, they tell their friends, they tell their colleges, this is the great experience I had in the U.S. Just like we become ambassadors for them. There are some countries I love getting kids from. Others, they're not good, they're not bad. I'm neutral on it. So they become ambassadors for us, we become ambassadors for them, we become ambassadors for the program. Typically, I will have them work about 2.5 to 3 months. And then after they depart, it's not uncommon for them to travel the U.S. for 30 days before going back. Let's see, they may not exceed the program period plus 30 days for the purpose of travel unless an extension or change has been granted. We as business owners, we cannot grant that extension. That has to come from their sponsor. The only way that they can get their dates changed is through their sponsor that they use in their home country. And the reason being is the time frame that they're here, it cannot interfere with their school schedules. So it's the sponsor that will determine, can they stay longer, can they come early? Earlier this season, I was talking to a gal from Mexico through Skype. That's how I interview them, is through Skype. And I was really interested in her. She was so worried that she wouldn't get this opportunity. She says, oh, Tiffany, I'll change my dates. You can't change your dates. Oh, yeah, I can change my dates. I said, no, you can't change your dates. This is your dates. I'll talk to my sponsor. I said, okay, fine. You talk to your sponsor and I'll talk to the sponsor that we use. Sometimes it is possible, but you have to get the approval of the sponsorship. I would not offer her a position right away. I wanted to offer her one position, but if we could have gotten her dates changed, she would have worked out better in this one. So I waited. I contacted our sponsor. She contacted hers. Lo and behold, she was wrong. She could not change her dates. And she tried telling me she could, and she contacted me after, and she told me she could. I said, I'm not going to offer you anything. I want to see it on your profile with your sponsor that the dates are changed. It's a good thing I waited. If I would have offered her the wrong position, it could have put me in a pickle. So it's really important. Involve the sponsor that you're working with. Make sure you keep them in the loop. They'll be able to guide you just in case. You know, it's not necessarily they're doing it on purpose. A lot of it is just miscommunication and misunderstanding between the student, the sponsor, and the employer. So the sponsor can help be that middle person, make sure that everybody is on the same page. So what is the goal of the program? Well, before we get into that, let me give you a little bit of history. Does anybody know when this program started or how it started? How long do you think it's been around? How many years? Take a guess.
I'd say since the Korean War.
Okay.
That'd be my guess, because I know we had tons of immigration right after the Korean War. So says my father.
All right. Well, the program, it started in 1961.
Oh, what a coincidence.
58 years this program has been around, and so many people don't know about it. That's one reason that I offer to do the class. The way it started, it was actually the Fulbright and Hayes Act that had started it. Fulbright was the last name of the senator. Senator William Fulbright, he had this idea. How do we build diplomatic relations with other countries? How do we build a cultural experience, build that cultural bridge between us and them? He had this idea. Let's do it through education and cultural experience. That's how this program started. He took this little idea and it's blown up. It grows year after year after year. Now it's huge. I guarantee you it's grown beyond what he imagined. So it is a great program. It's been around for 58 years. The goal of the program is what I said. A lot of it is to build that cultural experience and diversity and diplomatic relations. That's the goal of the program. It provides the students an opportunity to live and work in the United States. There's some opportunities that these students can gain by coming here that may not be available in their home country. I brought over last year the girl from the Dominican Republic. She's going to school to be a doctor. Now, obviously, I didn't bring her over here to be a doctor. But down the road, will she come back under the same program? Maybe do an internship here? Good possibility. Real good possibility. It gives them the opportunity to experience our culture and way of life in the U.S. by being exposed to the people here. There's a lot of good things that can come other than just them experiencing our culture and way of life. Recently, Ari, who was from Albania, he joined me last year. The Albanian government gave him a job for 1 month. He was to be the translator for a group of Americans, businessmen, coming over to Albania. Their government figured since he came here for 3 months, and his English was really well, he would know their slang, he would know how to communicate, he would know how to read their body language. Something as simple as body language is so different in another country. So they offered him a job for 30 days. They paid him $40 a day. Doesn't seem like a lot of money, does it? Over there it is. His father works in the Albanian government. At least he did. Now he's not. He retired. But when his father was working in the Albanian government last year, his take-home pay was $800 a month. So $40 a day, that's a lot of money for a college kid there to be making just to speak English. A lot of these kids, they have all different reasons to come here, to gain experience. Improve English is a big one. They all want to improve their English. It opens up job opportunities for them in their home countries. So cultural experiences are a big part of the program and one of the main reasons that many of them come here and choose to participate in the program. They're not here just to work. It is important that they experience cultural activities, and we can play a big role in this. Them coming here to work is just a very small part of the big picture. I mentioned that earlier. It is important that we try to integrate them into our lives. Essentially, we become their families while they're here. They leave their home countries. They come here not knowing anyone. They leave their family. They leave their friends. They come here as strangers on foreign soil. A lot of them not that great with their language. They feel like outsiders. They go through a cultural shock. I have not had one student that did not go through a cultural shock. They get homesick. I've had students break down and cry because they miss their family. So it's really important that we try to integrate them into our families and we become their families. You know, they like to do the same things we like to do. They like to go out for dinner. They like to go to the movies. They like to go shopping. You know, some of the different examples that you could do is take them on a day trip. I've taken them to the Renaissance Fair down in Bristol. I've taken them to Noah's Ark. I've taken them shopping down in the Dells, shopping in Oshkosh. Last year, one of them had a birthday. I didn't want it to pass just as another day. In their country, birthdays was a big deal. It was Albania, it was Viola. It's nothing for them to spend 2 weeks celebrating a birthday. It's crazy. 2 weeks! It's not one party. Oh no, you can't have just one party. It's a birthday. You can have one with the family, one with the friends, one with the extended friends, got to go out to the bars with your family. It's a big deal. So when I found out how big of a deal a birthday is, I can't just have it be another normal day. On a special occasion, they're missing home, they're missing family. All right, how do we solve it? Let's celebrate a birthday my style. My family, my son will tell you, you get to pick any restaurant. I don't care what it costs. I don't care what you order. It's your birthday. You pick the restaurant. We're all going to go out for a really nice dinner. So I took her to my favorite Italian restaurant, Lino's, over in Sheboygan. Told her you got to wear a dress. Guys have to wear ties. There is a dress code. She was treated like a queen. She did not miss her family. She did not cry. She was happy. She was in a good mood. It wasn't another day, and I wasn't going to treat it like another day. So it all goes back to making them feel like they're part of your family, including them. So taking a day trip, there's tons of different examples. I try to figure out what can I show them that they might not have at home. Believe it or not, a lot of the countries don't even have a water park. Something so simple. We have tons of them. Who would have thought? I never knew that. Chase brought up last year, Mom, we should take him to Noah's Ark. I went, Chase, they're not going to want to go to Noah's Ark. What's Noah's Ark? So I tell him, oh yeah, let's go. I said, you guys, it's just a water park. We don't have that. I never thought of, what do you mean you don't have a water park? No, we got to go to Italy for that. What? You have to go to another country for a water park? Yeah, we got to go to Italy, or we got to go here. Okay, fine, guys, let's go to a water park. You know, it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be something little, but I do try to find something that they can't get at home, just to show them a different thing. So you can take them to a local celebration, such as 4th of July. They all know what fireworks is. It's nothing new. I haven't found one kid yet that didn't know what fireworks were. But do they celebrate it the way we do? Do they let off thousands and thousands of dollars in the sky, as I see dollar signs? You know, they see the big pretty ooh and ah. You know, along with the 4th of July, there's the barbecues that go along with it. You know, you could really show them the experience of how we celebrate that. That is considered a cultural experience. It could be something as simple as just having dinner with a group of U.S. citizens. That is a cultural experience. So it doesn't have to be anything big and extravagant. It can be something simple. Every time I go to town for anything, I don't care if it's Walmart, those kids want to get off property. Hey, you guys want to come with? Going to the movies. You want to come with? I'm going on a hike in the Kettles. You want to come with? It could be anything. Just having them experience our way of life is a cultural experience. So anyhow, the list is endless, as you can see. Just let your imagination wander and have fun with it. One thing to keep in mind is the more cultural experiences we can provide them with, the better their experience is going to be and ours. It's going to leave them with that lasting impression, and it's going to leave us with a lasting impression. Some of the students I have spent so much time with, particularly the brother and sister from Albania, that this Christmas my family is traveling to Albania. We're going to travel Europe, and we're spending Christmas with our Albanian kids. So, I mean, it really, the more you do with them, it really does create a strong bond. And I call them my Albanian kids. They call me Mama Tiffany. So, it is quite a great experience. All right, so how do you become a host employer? For starters, you want to go back to that list of 14 different program categories. Do a little bit of research on each category. Figure out which one is going to fit your needs the best. Being a campground, obviously, you can rule out the teacher category. You can rule out the physician category. You know that a lot of them you can just cross off right now. You know, you already know that. But look at it. Do some digging into it. See which one fits your needs the best. Step 2 is you're going to contact the sponsors. That is correct, 39 sponsors. In the U.S., there are 39 different sponsors that work specifically with this program. Yeah.
When you say sponsor, you mean agency?
Yes, agency.
Okay.
I call them sponsor.
Okay,
Yes, an agency.
okay.
Yep.
all right.
There are actually 39 different ones here in the US. You do not have to pick whichever one is closest. Any of them will help you. They're all over the states. They're in Texas, they're in California, they're in Chicago, Illinois. Oh, next slide, there's a whole list of them. Anyhow, once you contact the sponsor, they're gonna be able to help you through this process a little bit. They're gonna start by verifying a lot of information. They're gonna verify your contact information. They're going to obtain and verify an employer's tax ID number, obtain copies of your business license and workers' compensation policy. They're gonna verify that the jobs are at a reputable business. The reason they do that is it is our job and their job to protect these students that come over here. So they need to verify that it is for a reputable business. And we talked about this briefly earlier. Employers must not have experienced layoffs in the past 120 days and must not have workers on lockout or strike. That is to make sure that by bringing these foreign exchange students over, we are not displacing any of our US workers, because that is not the objective of the program. We want to make sure that that doesn't happen. Now, although many sponsors do not charge a fee to the employer, there may be a fee depending on the sponsor you choose to use. I know the one that we use, the employer is not charged a fee, but that might vary from sponsor to sponsor. So looking at the next slide, I said there's 39. This is page 1.
Yeah, who can read that? Can you read that?
Get online.
I can read sponsor,
there's
website, address.
If you go to the last page in the PowerPoint presentation,
Oh,
Here.
didn't get that.
if you go to the last page,
They didn't get it either.
okay,
I didn't get one either.
okay, we'll get it covered.
Yeah, you assistant.
You're welcome. Here you go. So on the last page of the PowerPoint presentation, it's going to be the government website.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, you want one too? There you
I
go.
need a new agency.
Okay. So, oh, that's hard to read too, isn't it? Okay.
It'll be on the last slide.
Oh, yeah. So on the last slide, we'll just leave the slide up there for a minute so you guys can write down the government website if you want, because that's where it's going to show you all of the different 39 sponsors. But as I was saying, you know, they're out of New Hampshire, Tennessee, Chicago, Illinois, New York, California, Florida, another one from Illinois, Maryland. You know, they are everywhere. You don't have to pick the one that's closest. The sponsor we use deals with all of Sun Communities. That's the company I work for. And we have properties everywhere. And we use one agency.
And who is that?
We use Greenheart out of Chicago, Illinois.
We used to.
Yeah, that's who we use. So the second slide is, so yeah, there's the other ones. I mean, I would suggest calling a few of them, asking your questions, see which one is going to fit your needs the best, see who you're comfortable with. For the most part, they're all going to pretty much have the same guidelines because this program is monitored through the Department of State, DOS. So they're all going to have the same guidelines, but they might have a little bit of differences from one sponsor to the next. So call, ask questions, see who's going to be, who you're going to be comfortable with. All right. This is a common question that I get from our guests. Our guests the first year, they were really upset that I had gotten J1 students in. Oh, they're taking away American jobs. You want a job? I'll hire you. Well, no, I don't want a job. Do you know somebody else that wants a job? I'll hire them. We're always looking. Oh, nobody wants to step up to the plate. So that comment shuts them down. Then it's, well, they don't pay taxes. Oh, yes, they do. Do they pay taxes? Absolutely, they do. Employers must follow all federal and state labor laws when employing J1 students. They are subject to federal, state, and local taxes. A J1 student is exempt from the Federal Insurance Contributions Act, otherwise known as the FICA taxes, for Social Security and Medicare. So what does that mean for an employer? It means savings. Because go ahead.
You have to match
Yes.
everything that is taken out of their check that they pay, you as an employer pay.
Yep, that's what I was going to
So
say.
that's the one thing that you save is the FICA tax. You
Yep.
still have to pay the same amount of workman's comp, same amount of state tax, the same amount of federal tax. But you get out of that one.
Yep. So as an employer, you don't have to make that match because they're not obligated to pay into that.
Because they can never collect it.
Exactly. Okay? So they do have to pay taxes. So if some of your guests had mentioned any of those things, make sure you correct them because we don't want to give that wrong perception.
Yeah, I've had
To
people
public.
say that to us too.
Yeah.
Oh, those are illegals. I'm like, no,
No, they're not.
they're not.
That's right. So, now, I go round and round with people on this point. My thought is, as soon as they get here, start that paperwork. Get them into Service. Service is a database that our government uses to track what's called alien, who's coming, who's going, where they're at, where they're staying, where they're living. Service, basically, they go into the computer, they say, yep, I'm here. This is my address. This is where I'm living. Now, some people will tell me, I just went through a presentation not long ago, and that lady says, oh, within 48 to 72 hours, as long as they get it done by then. No, 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 no. It's very important they do it right away. Why? They have to pay taxes. So they need a Social Security number to do that, don't they?
It takes forever.
Yes.
Forever.
That's the thing. They cannot apply for a Social Security number until the information is updated in Service. So when they get here, I don't care if it's the day they arrive. If it's not too late at night, I make them sit down at the computer. It takes 5 minutes. I want you to check in right now. And I'm kind of mean about it. I mean, I want it done now.
I'll give you a quick horror story. We had people last year, we've had them for all the years that I've been at this campground. They didn't get their paperwork done or their assignments immediately. The last day that they could be here, I drove them to the bus station so they could go to Chicago Airport and fly back to Thailand. They still had not received their, and this was like 93 days.
Yeah.
We had them. They still hadn't received their Social Security card. So the problem with that is when they take all their paychecks and go to the bank to cash them, they can't open an account
Yep.
without a Social Security card.
I'm actually touching base on that later,
Oh,
too.
are you?
Yep.
Okay. It was horrible.
Yeah, that's a
for
nightmare.
them. It was.
It
I
is.
sat at a Wells Fargo office
Yeah.
for 4 hours waiting on the telephone with our sponsor, as you call it,
Yep.
because they hadn't processed the paperwork. So I'm looking for a new place to go to.
See, I haven't had that problem with our sponsor. Are you sure it wasn't maybe with the government agency? Because I did have,
Because I'm just getting my feet wet with this.
yeah, so, because that really doesn't have anything to do with the sponsor. That's more so the U.S. government. When they arrive, there are a lot of forms.
Yeah.
One of them is this DS 2019 and the I-94.
I-90.
2 years ago, we had to take the girl from Russia all the way down to Chicago. And for what? To go to the customs office. Why? Because the officer that checked her in, who's supposed to be knowing what they're doing, misspelled her name. We could not pull,
Misspelled, you said?
misspelled her name in the computer. So
Oh
we
my
could
goodness.
not pull any paperwork. So we had to physically put her in a car, drive all the way to Chicago because that is the closest office for us.
Right.
I wasn't planning on that. Middle of a Friday, are you kidding me? You guys know what that's like. Or maybe it was a Thursday or whatever day it was. Bottom line is, it's unplanned. So that's another reason it's so important to start that paperwork right away. The sooner you can catch a mistake, the sooner it can be corrected. That delayed everything. Everything got delayed. And going to that office in Chicago is not fun. They treat you like you're a criminal. It was horrible. You walk down this hallway, they don't talk. You don't dare talk. You're too scared to say anything. And I'm an American citizen, and I was scared. I could only imagine what the foreign exchange students go through. It was bad. Anyhow, so have them verify their information in service right away. They have to do that in order to get a Social Security card. Very, very important. We always obtain a photocopy of their foreign passport, the DS 2019, the I-94. They are not going to have their I-94 when they arrive. They have to go online and print that out. Okay, they can't even get that until they actually get into our country. And their visa. Be careful, some of them have more than one type of visa. Make sure it's a J1 visa. I made that mistake too already. We take all of that information and send it to our HR team up at our main office. Okay? Once the service is updated in the system, then they can go to the Social Security office. It can take a few days for that to update. It all depends. I've had it update in 24 hours. I've had it take 72 hours. It really varies. When they go to the Social Security office, take all the documents, everything. And it's really helpful if you call your Social Security office before these kids even get here, explain what type of visa is coming. Believe it or not, a lot of these people at these offices don't know anything about it. This gives them an opportunity to educate themselves in how to process the students, how to figure out what forms are going to be necessary, and there's a special application that needs to be filled out. So I keep a stockpile of them, and I sit the student down before we even go. That way it's a relaxed atmosphere. We can slowly work through it and make sure we get proper answers on there. It's going to make things a lot easier at that Social Security office. So go ahead and take all of their documents with. Even if you don't think they're going to need it, take it with anyway, just in case. You can always bring the stuff back. It's a lot easier than forgetting something and starting over. And then they also do need to fill out a W-4 and an I-9 form for tax purposes. All right. So, prohibited jobs. There are certain jobs that the DOS or Department of State has said they are not allowed to do. Period. Questions, ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the DOS does have the right to come in and look at the housing situation, look at what the students are doing to make sure that the employers are complying. I've never received a visit. Maybe I'm lucky, I don't know.
They made us take pictures of their housing before they sent them, is what we had to do.
Okay.
The last 2 years that I was there.
All right. Now, it might vary from agency to agency. They're all going to have this list that's going to be coming up. All of them will have this list, but a specific agency might put in a few more saying we prefer if they don't do these either. Some of these are for a really good reason. Positions in a private home. Why do you think the DOS doesn't want them working in a private home? Any thoughts? Sure, Chase.
Maybe like safety?
Yeah, for safety. It's really important that we protect these students when they come here, make sure that nothing is going to happen to them. If we put them into a private home, it opens them up for abuse, violence, sex trafficking, all kinds of things. So the Department of State has determined for their safety, to make sure nothing happens, we will not allow that. You know, same thing with the adult industry. Obviously, there again, same case. We don't want that for them. Jobs that require work hours at night.
Define night.
Well, by us, it's 10 o'clock.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure if that's a DOS thing or if that's our agency.
No, it is. It's 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay. So, yeah, by us, it's...
Only if the majority of the hours are during that time.
Okay. So, you know, and there again, it's for safety. You know, we need to make sure that nothing happens to these kids. And during that time frame, obviously the DOS feels that there's a little more of a risk. Any jobs that are declared hazardous to youth, or if they're commission-based, any idea why that wouldn't be a good idea, commission-based?
Something they might not earn. I mean, it's all based on sales and.
These students, they pay their agency, and then they have to buy their own plane tickets. So they have a lot of money invested just getting here. So we don't want them working jobs that are primarily commission-based, because they might not, what if they don't even make enough to cover expenses?
To get back home.
Right, so that is not an acceptable position. Anything that involves gambling, pest control, traveling fairs, obviously, that's a big no. And then we have this big, long one, mining, hunting, fishing, oil, whatnot. And I had already said some sponsors may have additional jobs that they don't want them doing. SWT participants may only work in jobs that are seasonal or temporary, that provide opportunities for interaction with U.S. citizens and allow for experiencing U.S. culture. It is not okay to have J1 students only work with J1 students. It is not okay to not let them have a life outside of work. We want them to interact with U.S. citizens and work with U.S. citizens. And I have some of them that do activities. Great. The kids love them. Kids love the foreign exchange students. So activities is a great position. They get interaction with U.S. citizens. They still get interaction with the other J1 students. I have them do pool attendant. Perfect. Tons of exposure into our culture and the people. I have housekeepers, and then I have the gate attendant. So every position, they are getting interaction with U.S. citizens. All right. Useful information to keep in mind. Some of this was through growing pains, as I learned about the program, mistakes that I've made, and some of it is just kind of, I don't know, just the way it is, I guess. Housing, you're going to want to think about that. Now, as of right now, last I heard, it was not a requirement by DOS to provide housing. I highly suggest it, though. The reason being, when they come here, how are they supposed to find somewhere to live when they're across seas, how many miles away? Yeah. We provide housing on site. One thing to keep in mind with that is, if you would not want to be in that living situation, do not put them in that living situation. One mistake that I have seen some of the businesses make is they kind of look at it as like a sweatshop. They will rent out hotel rooms, stack them up like cordwood along the walls and bunk beds. That's not okay. That is not treating these kids like a human being. If, like I said, if it's something that you would not want to live in, don't do it to them. I'm fortunate we have 2 houses on property, and I use one house just for them. It's 3 bedrooms, so the really big bedroom with the big master bath and whirlpool tub, the girls get that room. I put 3 of them in there. The room is plenty big enough. The boys, they get their own rooms and their own bathroom. So you really do kind of want to look at what you're able to provide and then figure out how many students you feel you'd be able to bring over. And that's another thing that your agency or sponsor can work with you on. They'll ask you questions about the housing and whatnot. And you can kind of get their take on it too if you're unsure as to how many people you can put in there. They could definitely help you with that to determine what's okay, what's not okay. Some people do charge for the housing. Some people charge 25 bucks a week, 50 bucks a week, whatever it is. I don't charge because a lot of the times that's one of the first things that these kids are going to look at when they're looking at jobs. Is the housing free? Is the housing free? They're spending so much money to get here. They don't want to turn around and pay for housing too. And I'm always scared that I might miss out on some really good kids if I charge for housing. So I choose, let's leave it free. Let's get them here. Let's bring diversity, bring different culture here. So that's kind of my goal. So I do the free housing. Wages. I've had some people think, well, you know, I pay Joe up at the gate $10 an hour, but I'm going to pay Ramazan from Turkey $8 an hour because I'm giving him free housing. That's not okay. No, it really isn't. Whatever you pay a U.S. worker is what they should be getting paid to. They should be treated the same as a U.S. worker in every aspect, from discipline to wages to paying taxes across the board. They are really no different, okay? But that would be for you guys to determine. That's just my opinion. Full-time jobs. Here again, they've spent so much money to get here, you don't want to give them 20 hours a week. They're never going to make anything. I give them minimum 40 hours, all the way up to 45 or 50. I don't go past 50. That is not a DOS rule. That is Sun Communities rule, the company I work for.
I have them begging for, I had one of the three last year. More. Got up to 70. I want more.
Yeah.
Like, really? Seriously?
Yeah. And you do pay them overtime.
Yep.
They are eligible for overtime. So just like a U.S. worker, anything over 40 hours a week is overtime. You have to pay that.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you will have them ask, can I get a second job?
Yeah, not legally.
Well, they can.
Well, I mean, under a different, but you still, this is what I was told by our person.
Uh-huh.
They can have a second job, but not at your facility.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Not by me per se, but they
Yeah.
are able to go to McDonald's, let's
Yes,
say,
right,
and
right.
get another job.
Yep.
However, it should be cleared through their sponsor. They should keep open communication and get a dialect going and make sure that that's okay with their sponsor. Their sponsor takes a lot of responsibility for these kids, allowing them to come over, as do we. So it's important that we keep that dialect open with the sponsor, keep them in the loop. One thing I will tell the kids when they ask me if they can get a second job is, I'm in the middle of nowhere. How are you going to get there? You know, you have to be realistic. It's 20 minutes by car to get to the closest town. How are you going to get there? You know, and a lot of times even during the interview process, they'll ask me, just be honest, be open, be honest. Because you don't want them to come here and then be disappointed. So, time frame for approval process. It really varies, and it varies on how active you are as business owners. It took me 4 months to get through the approval process my first time. With all the red tape and the hoops, I almost gave up. Towards the end, I said, I'm so done with this. It's just one thing after another after another. I thought, are you kidding me? Seriously, how much more information do you people need? I don't know if it was our HR end or our sponsor end. What I do know is this year I was mentoring a new manager for our company, and I got him involved in the process. We have a new HR lady taking care of it, and he's approved no problem. So I'm starting to think it was the girl in HR that was kind of hanging it up. What I can tell you that will help speed up the process, when you find a sponsor that you want to utilize, if they ask you for some information, get it to them as quickly as possible. Because it's not going to be the only time they're asking for something. They're going to get that piece of information, and then they're going to say, oh, ding, I need this now. Oh, ding, and I need this. So the more you can keep moving that process along, the faster you're going to get approved. All right? Want to think about to and from the airport. How are they going to get from the airport to you? You are not obligated to pick them up. You're not obligated to take them back. I always make sure we pick them up. And a lot of it is, it sets a good foundation for relationship. So we always go to the airport and pick them up. If I can't go, Shelby would go. If neither one of us can go, my mother is gone already. But somebody should really be there to pick them up, in my opinion. That is not regulated by DOS. For taking them back to the airport, it varies. if they schedule it when it works for us, absolutely, I'll take them back. I'll see them off. I'll give them a hug, maybe shed a tear, depending on how attached I got to them. But last year, the girl from Jamaica, she decided to try to push that limit. She decided she's going to leave in the middle of a Saturday, fully booked park. Okay, did you buy your ticket yet? No, not yet. I'm not taking you. I'm going to drop you off at the Greyhound station. You're going to take a bus down to Milwaukee. She didn't want to do that. She thought I should inconvenience and take her anyway. I said, no, I can't. At the time, I had no assistant manager. It was middle of a Saturday, fully booked park, and you think I have how many hours to drive you all the way to Milwaukee and then come back? No. You know what I did? Dropped her off in Fond du Lac at the Greyhound station. Put her butt on a bus. And I'm not doing it to be mean, but it's okay to tell them no. That is okay. If you can't do it, you can't do it. I think they should have enough respect for us. If we're willing to do this, they should work with our schedule. So don't feel like you need to do something. It's okay to say no. Contact before arrival. How are we on time? I should look. Okay, I'll hurry up here. Okay, contact before arrival. This is super important. Let me tell you a quick story. 2 years ago, I was in our agency's website, and you can see the flight information for the kids. What time they're arriving, their flight number, all this stuff, right? Okay, so I got 3 guys from Turkey coming in. All right, I got to get down to Milwaukee. I get down there, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. I'm looking down the corridor. I don't see them. Nothing. No one's looking funny. Like, no foreigners. And where is this plane? Can't figure out where these kids are. Maybe I missed them because a lot of times our profile picture looks different. Go down to baggage. I don't see 3 guys that look like foreigners from Turkey. Start asking passengers, hey, were you on the flight from Detroit? Yeah. Did you happen to come across 3 guys speaking like Turkish or anything? No. Okay. Hey, were you on the flight from Detroit? Same questions. They're all looking at me like I'm nuts. I guess they're not on the flight. I go to the Delta counter. I need to know where these kids are. They won't give me any information.
Of course not.
Zero information. I am so upset. I am almost crying. I'm so stressed out because we're partially responsible for these kids. I was seriously thinking I lost 3 guys from Turkey somewhere in the United States, and I have no idea where they are. I gotta find these kids. Couldn't get a hold of our HR department. Didn't have the sponsors' contact information on me, so I couldn't call them. I'm literally stuck. I don't know what to do. Finally, the one gal from Delta counter saw how upset I was, and I brought up our sponsor's website. I'm like, look, this is what I'm looking for right here. Look, look, look. You have to help me, please. She finally looks it up. She says, oh, you're here early. I said, no, look, it's right here. She goes, no, they're in Amsterdam. They get here tomorrow. The wrong day was uploaded in the sponsor system. Yes, so contact them before they leave their home country. Make sure, verify that that information is correct. Otherwise, you're going to go through a panic attack like I did. The other issue I've had is sometimes the information that is uploaded is like some airline out of France that we don't have here. Okay, so what airline are you flying in on? So contact them. I found it useful to be friends on Facebook because then we can message through, and I'll have them screenshot your ticket for me and send it to me so I can physically see, you know, to make sure that it's right. That just ensures that it goes a whole lot smoother. It's going to save you stress. It's going to save them stress, so contact them. Really important staff meeting. I have had, my first year, I had some staff very uncomfortable along with guests that we were doing this. My first year, I brought some of the kids that came over were Muslim. I wanted to bring diversity. I did not know they were Muslim when I interviewed them, because obviously that's not something you ask. But when our staff and our guests found out the countries, they were scared.
Sure.
They were scared. So it's helpful if you let your guests know, hey guys, we're bringing these foreign exchange students over. You don't have to tell what country it is or give a lot of information, but just make them aware and have a meeting with your staff. Because if they have a question or concern, they're probably not going to bring it up if, I don't know, Ari is sitting right next to them. So do it before the students come. I had some of the staff say, well, great, does that mean I'm going to lose all my hours to them? You know, it gives you an opportunity to address some of those concerns and questions to kind of put everybody's mind at ease. And it really helps the translation or the transition a lot easier. You know, and what's kind of funny is I went into this program with one goal. I don't know about you guys, but by us, we had a lot of people that are closed-minded. They kind of live in their own little protected bubble world. And I wanted to bring diversity, and I wanted to show them, just because you have this preconceived notion of this religion or people from this country doesn't mean it's true. Those same people that were scared of these kids when they found out that they were Muslim, by the end of the season, we're inviting them over to their sites for dinner. Same people. They no longer see that religion thing. They no longer see the color of the skin. It has brought such diversity. Last year, I didn't have any issues. Our guests were so excited to have these kids come. First year was rough. We had to break them in, show them it's okay. There's nothing to be scared of. Grocery shopping, keep in mind, they don't have a way to the store. You're going to have to take them there once a week. It's good to have a set date, so they know every Monday or every Wednesday. Otherwise, they will hit panic mode. If they don't know this is the day, they will start to hit panic mode because they don't know when they're going. Cashing paychecks. He touched on it briefly earlier. This is super, super important. Am I going to go over on you guys? Oh, okay. So cashing paychecks is super important. So when they come here, give them a paycheck, just like everybody else. Great, yay, they got money. No, they don't. They don't have money. They have a piece of paper. They have a piece of paper. Doesn't do them any good. They can't take it to a bank and cash it. Why? They can't open a bank account. Why can't they open a bank account? They're not a U.S. citizen. Bank will not let them open an account. Bank will not cash a check for anybody that does not have an account. Fine, take them to Walmart. That's not going to work. Why is that? Gotta have a social security number. Don't have a social security number yet because it takes 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks to get that in.
Yeah.
So you need to figure out how they're going to cash their check. Oh, I'll cash it right at the campground. You better check with your bank with that. A lot of banks have stopped cashing third-party checks. That's not going to work. So what do? I ended up going all the way up to the president of the bank that we use, and I got special approval for these kids to be able to cash their checks. Our bank requires they get a copy of the visa, they get a copy of the passport, they keep it on file, and our bank is willing to cash them. But that is something you're going to want to check into, because these kids do come here with some money to live on, but it's very limited. They need their paycheck just as bad as you and I do. There is nothing more frustrating than you have a student, I learned this my first year, gets paycheck, can't cash it. Second paycheck, can't cash it. They're running out of food. They're running out of money. What do? You don't want to loan them money. That's a bad idea. What do? Work that little crinkle out before, way before. Talk to the bank. Okay? And holidays. Not talking about our holidays, talking about their holidays. Something so simple can really make them feel like they're at home, and it helps with them not being homesick. I picked up a little bit of Turkish. So like Ramazan's first morning, he didn't know I spoke any Turkish. He comes in and I say, good night. And you speak Turkish? No, I don't. He said, you said good night. And I said, I know what I said. It means good morning. Doing the little things to make them feel at home. Holidays, their holidays is one of them. There's some holidays in other countries that we don't have here, so we wouldn't necessarily think about it. One of the holidays that it's not uncommon for them to celebrate over there is they have this day where nobody goes to work. Oh, that sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? You know what the job is? Spend time with the elderly. Spend time with the grandparents. So if they ask off for something, keep in mind it might be for a very good reason. If you do schedule them, which I've done because I need their help, I'll go up to them and I'll say, did you call your grandma? No. No. Stop working. Go call grandma right now while she's still awake because of the time difference. And they look at me funny. I said, well, this is your holiday. It's important. You know about that? Yeah. It makes them feel good because it's a way to show them respect, just like we would want them to show us respect. So it's not a requirement. It's just something I do, and it really helps build a bridge with them. Okay? So that's the J1 presentation. Does anybody have questions? Comments?
I've had good luck. 2 out of 3 years were real good people. All mine came from Thailand
Okay,
for the last 3 years.
good.
First year, there was too much of a language barrier, and you call it sponsor, I call it agency. They did a poor job of interviewing those kids, and we didn't have the ability at the campground. I wasn't in that capacity that I am today.
Okay.
To Skype interview. I
Okay.
would not recommend anyone hire anybody without personally speaking to them via Skype. Trust me, some of them can. No matter what the question was, yes, I understand.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really
Yes.
good point. So
you
what?
need to ask
yeah.
them in-depth questions
Yeah.
to get some vocabulary out of them.
So what he's talking about, a lot of the agencies, you can have it
They
where
coach 'em.
they interview for you, and you say, this is how many positions I have, and they just hire people.
Yes.
I don't suggest that at all.
That's what I went through the first
Yeah,
year.
I don't suggest that. I think it's a good idea if you talk to them personally.
Yes.
And he touched on a really good point. So you don't want the questions to be yes and no answers.
Correct.
Absolutely not, because you're going to leave that conversation going, oh, they got great English. They get here and they don't know nothing. They don't know anything. And you can't communicate. It's tough. I've had some of them where they cannot communicate very well.
Yeah, made it
You know,
hard. Made it
but
very hard.
I knew that when they were coming here. He didn't. I knew that, but I know a little bit about it was a Turkish guy, but I know enough Turkish to get through it. So I was still okay with bringing him here. So that helped. But yeah, if you want to ask questions that do not require yes and no answers. And another thing, a good question is, tell me a little bit about yourself. Okay, sounds like an in-depth question, right? It gets them talking. You know how many times they say that? I feel it's very rehearsed. It's easy to memorize. Do they actually understand what they're saying?
Right.
So you want to ask them like, Shelby, help me out. What's some of the questions I asked?
Why do you want to come to the United States?
Yeah, why do you want to come here? If they go, yes, okay, they're not comprehending what you're saying. They don't understand. And comprehending is one thing, but then they have to be able to vocalize an answer back.
One of my other campground owner friends told me he held up pictures of animals. And he asked them in English, what is this? And they were native animals and fish of Wisconsin. Deer, a Holstein cow, okay? A giraffe, a lion, a dog, a cat.
Oh.
And he goes, I found out he had some from China. He goes, they didn't know what most of them were.
Yeah.
Or they couldn't pronounce it in English.
Yeah.
And that was his little test.
Yeah. I guess very creative way of doing it. Very creative. But I guess when I'm learning a foreign language though,
Plunger.
right, but when I'm learning a foreign language,
Yeah.
do I concentrate on animals?
No.
No.
Where's
So-
the bathroom?
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Right? Where's
Yes.
the bathroom?
Yeah.
Where's the picture?
Yeah. So I would maybe, I mean, I love that idea. That's a really good idea, but I would maybe tailor the pictures to something that is going to be relevant
Well, the things that they were gonna see.
or
at the
things that they would
campground.
learn about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, things that they were going to see in Wisconsin in the campground.
Yeah.
So when did you guys start the process? Like, is March too late or?
Yeah. This
Oh,
is
yeah,
too
it's
late
too
for
late
this
for
year.
Okay.
The job boards with the agency we use closes mid-March, end of March.
Oh, close next week.
Don't tell me that. I don't
Yeah,
want
I
to hear
was getting
that.
mine
Okay,
booked in
'cause-
November
Yeah.
Okay.
for this coming year.
I
Yeah.
kind of thought so, and we had gotten some information, but I wasn't sure, and we're new to it, and we were interested. We have old park model homes also, and I'm not sure if that's gonna be like,
That's what we put them in,
yeah?
yeah.
All right.
I-
As long
Yep,
as there's
vacation
running water
rentals,
and
sure.
Yeah,
Blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I was
Yeah,
not worried
that was
about.
great, yeah, they were like,
Okay.
oh, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. At least the girls from Thailand did.
I would suggest, so like right now,
They had air conditioning.
this class is too late for this year. This
Yeah.
is information for 2020.
Okay.
I would suggest kind of looking into this over the summer so you kind of know which are the 14 categories and which agency you want to go with and contact them in October, you know?
And something else real quickly, one of the agencies based out of Chicago told my friend Jerry, who owns Pineland Campground, that they were no longer providing students to rural, isolated, small communities.
Yeah, but that's what I am and I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I'm in, well, I'm,
Over by Plymouth, kind of?
yeah, I'm halfway between Plymouth and Fond du Lac, but I'm literally in the middle of
Yeah, they're
nowhere.
Yeah.
I am in the middle of nowhere.
That's what they told him in an email. CSC, I believe his agency is. CSC, I
CSC.
think is what he told me it was. Yeah.
So what's our responsibility, like, not on a shopping day, let's say, grocery shopping is Wednesday, what if on Thursday they just wanna go hang out somewhere, what's our responsibility to get them places?
You
that
don't
they
you don't
wanna
have
go?
to. That's why I'm very clear and upfront when I interview through Skype. I tell them, I ask them, did you go on the internet and look to see where we are?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wisconsin. Okay, great. You know Wisconsin, but that's pretty broad.
Yeah.
Right.
I tell them I am in the middle of nowhere. There is nothing. It takes 20 minutes by car to go to a store.
Yeah,
You know,
that's- well,
it's
we're
this
like-
many kilometers because they always do metric. It's this many kilometers. Because if I say 20 minutes by car, well, in their home country, it's like Chicago traffic. So 20 minutes by car is a few blocks.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're thinking they can walk.
walk.
I'm going to walk. No. Tell them in kilometers how far it is to the store.
Or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, so if it's their day off and they want to go do stuff, it is not your responsibility. And I hate
Well,
to
I'm
be
sure
like
they do,
that.
Right? They meet their coworkers and
Right.
make
I don't
friends.
want to be like that, but at the same time, they're adults. We're not their babysitter.
Have you had
Okay.
any that can drive?
Yes.
You have? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And we can use our members maybe to help out too. I mean,
Oh, yeah. We have our guests. Our guests have taken them to brewer games, taken them shopping. Last year, our second year, the guests wanted to be involved so much. They're so fascinated by foreign exchange students. They really take them under their wing. They take them all over. Tiffany, can so-and-so have off this day, or can they leave early? We want to go do this. Have fun. They're here to experience the culture too, not just work. You know, that's a big part of the program. So, any other questions or comments? Okay. All right.